this is how screwed up college basketball is. All right. So as the brackets come in last night, the transfer portal opened this morning. Okay. So I'm looking at it right now. As of this morning, it opened, officially, I guess, but names didn't really start flowing until this morning. There are 1, 2, 3, 6, 8, and I think about 25 names already in it this morning. There might be 500. There might be 500 today. There might be 500 kids. So think of how screwed up this is. We've got 68 teams and coaches and coaching staffs right now trying to prepare for the NCAA tournament. But they're also looking at the damn transfer portal while they're trying to prepare for the first-round opponents because they can't fall behind in who's going in the portal. And, I remember last year being in locker rooms of coaches prior to their games and them making calls to transfers before they're playing in, Sweet 16 games. That's how dumb this is.
And Jeff, you brought this up too. It's not just for the tournament. It could absolutely decimate the NIT. Like that thing could just be ruined.
The NIT's dead. Hey, RIP NIT is dead, and nobody cares.
Wait, so I'm out $2,000 on my tickets?
Yeah.
All right, but I have a.
You could play in the NIT. Fred, you could be eligible for UMass in the NIT. They might make it just because all the high majors don't want to play in it. And then, like Frank Martin, you can commit to the NIT, and then, half your team goes in the portal, and you're playing you're holding literally tryouts, walk-on tryouts in Amherst to try to field a team for the NIT.
All right. Okay, so I'm glad you brought it up because I've talked about this. I think I've talked about it to you guys off the air. I know a guy, he actually told me not to say what college he works for. So he actually, it never happens, but someone actively told me to do it. I know I was talking to a guy that is a assistant coach at a low-level D1 school. And he told me 12 kids on their team have been to over 2 schools.
Oh.
Explain to me how, so even if you're a kid with no pro prospects, the idea is that you just pack up and move across the country 3 times during. What's the incentive for these guys, this many kids, to transfer as much as they do?
Well, because you're never happy with your role now. If you're the second best player, you want to be the best player. If you're the sixth man, you want to start, right? So and you have all these people around you. Think about it. If on your team you see one teammate or former teammate transfer and have success, it's not necessarily the kid. It's the people around the kid telling them, hey. And then at the high major level, they all have NIL agents now. So a lot of them are saying, well, I'm making 20% off you. Get the hell in the portal. I'm going to make some more money. Even if you had a good year, you're in a good program, you're with a good coach, the agents a lot are driving them to hey, put your name in the portal because I'm going to make more money off you if you sign a big NIL deal. So everybody's going in. Listen, I wouldn't be surprised this year. We saw it last year with Hunter Dickinson was the big name who went in the portal, transferred from Michigan to Kansas, had a hell of a year this year, made in excess of $1 million through NIL. I wouldn't be surprised to see, 10 guys make excess of $1 million right now when they go in the portal because, oh yeah.
How many guys make $1 million? All right, how many guys really make money from NIL? How many? Approximately.
A ton are making $300,000-$400,000.
Really?
Ton. Oh yeah.
What's the
bunch.
incentive? Who pays them?
Well, think about it. If you're, I'll give you a good example. You're Indiana right now. All right. My daughter goes to Indiana. So they need to win bad. Mike Woodson's on the hot seat next year. He didn't really believe in NIL, former NBA coach, but he's seen it now. They probably had $1.5 million, $2 million this past year to dole out for NIL. This year, I'm told it's going to be probably double that, $3.5, $4 million, something like that. You need a point guard. There's only probably a handful of really elite point guards. It's going to be a bidding war. It's going to be a bidding war for these top point guards in the portal because everybody needs one. They know it, and now the coaches are at a point where they're like, the hell with this. Even Tom Izzo. We'll see what he does. Remember, his walk-on years ago was Matt Ishbia, the owner of the Phoenix Suns. So he can have whatever he wants money-wise. he didn't do it this past year because he's old school. He didn't want to go into the portal and push out some of his players, and now he's seeing his team's not very good because he doesn't have a big. He should have went in the portal. So you wonder if these guys are just worn down from it, and they say, the hell with it. I'm going to go to the portal. I'm going to spend all this money, and then eventually they're going to be like, I don't love the way the game's going. I'm retiring.
Well, the owner of the Cavaliers is a big Michigan State alumni too. I mean, there's a ton of money. So Izzo does Michigan? Now you got me and Hardy thinking. Does Michigan State not use NIL money, or
they didn't this year?
Really?
He didn't want to. You know, he wants to be old school. Tony Bennett wants to be old school. Some of these guys, but if you don't change with the times, other coaches are. So you're going to the portal, and say you go in the portal, Tom Izzo, and you say, hey, you know what? All right, I'll give you a little bit of money. I'll give you $50,000. Well, like somebody else is paying that kid $300,000. I don't care how good Tom Izzo is and that he's a Hall of Famer. If I'm a kid and I got a chance and I'm not an NBA player.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? Yeah, if I'm not a first-round
more
pick,
money.
Yeah,
right.
I take the money too.
$400,000?
I mean, I would. I mean, everyone would. I mean, that's the right thing to do. Because unless I'm a lottery pick, then I might want to play for Izzo. Like, you know, I might want to. Like, if I want to develop, I would probably want to play for Izzo. If out of all the coaches, I might want to play for Izzo. So how do you?
It's a 1-year deal now. It's a 1-year deal, guys. They're all on 1-year contracts.
All right.
Basically.
So FA. So there's a Florida Atlantic University and Michigan State University. You mentioned Michigan State. Those two teams were top 10 teams. They're returning players from. I mean, Michigan State was a Sweet 16 team last year. Florida Atlantic made a run last year. They returned kids to their programs. How do you explain? Is that? Do you think the NIL thing is why those two teams, as examples, fell off this season in their lower seeds in the tournament or higher seeds?
So, I would say, FAU. So they go to the Final Four last year, kind of out of nowhere. They almost lose to Memphis in the first round. Darlings, great kids, love them. Been around them a ton. Not stupid. I went down to Boca for a while earlier this year to spend some time with them. Okay. Get out of Newburyport, Massachusetts, during the winter. They're good kids. They've been up and down this year. They've had great wins. They beat Arizona in Vegas. They've had awful losses. They lost to Bryant at home.
Damn right they did. Damn right they did, Jeff Goodman.
Right.
That's not a bad loss either. That's a very nice win for Bryant.
All right. Settle down. It's a quad 4 loss. It's a terrible loss. Anyway, they're here's the thing. Last year they snuck up on some people. Nobody knew who the hell they were walking through campus or anywhere. This year they go around campus. They're the heroes all year. They've got good NIL money. It might be $300,000 somewhere in that for the top two players. Top two players. Nellie Davis and Elijah Martin, they got paid. So life is different. The other part is all they think about probably they're in a crappy league, the AAC, where last year they played in the Final Four, and then you go back and you're playing Arizona, in the Illinois, in Madison Square Garden, all these teams in the non-conference. You get to the conference, you're playing like Tulsa, Tulane. So it's hard to get up, and they want to fast forward. They want to get to the NCAA tournament. So can they flip the switch? I don't know. They were an 8 seed. And I'll tell you what, if I'm UConn, I do not want to see those boys in the second round of the NCAA tournament because if they do turn it on, watch out. Watch out. They got explosive guards. That's like, honestly, out of any matchup you give me on the board here in the first weekend, that's clearly the one I want to see.